This information you are about to hear and perhaps view, these are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C.Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the parties the story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Hi, my name is Gary C.Clement, and welcome to the Gary Clement Radio Show and podcast. In this episode, we are very privileged to have as a guest former NFL Offensive Lineman Shawn Harper. He's played professional football with the Los Angeles Rams and the Indianapolis Colts. He's also a book author and speaker. He has 3 books, which are entitled The Winning Edge, 8 Principles That Will Bring Out the Winner in You, and The Winologist, which all can be found on Amazon. In his profession after pro football, he's the CEO of American Services and Protection, where he's a security professional and consultant. How are you, sir?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. Happy that I have a chance to connect with you. And I just pray that this will be a blessing for you and your audience. Let's go. Let's win.
Yes, so it's great to have you here today. So first of all, tell us about Shawn Harper. Who are you and how you grew up and everything?
Yeah. Well, so I, as mentioned, my name is Shawn Harper. I played about 7 years total professional football. I played with the NFL, and I also played a couple seasons over in NFL Europe as well, actually 3. And I was, absolutely blessed to play that. And right now, I'm the CEO of American Services and Protection, a full-service security firm located in Columbus, Ohio. I've been doing it for the past 20 years. Kind of hard to step away from being an offensive lineman / left tackle to now running a security firm because I'm still protecting my client. My client is my quarterback, and that's my mindset. Created that mind shift. There's a lot of adversity, though, being documented with several learning disabilities, voted most likely to fail in high school, shouldn't have played football according to one doctor who failed my actual physical. I went to another doctor and I got approved, and there was just a ton of adversity. I had 5 brothers and sisters. I was kicked out of schools for disciplinary issues and disciplinary reasons. A lot of that, though, came because I didn't know who I was. And later, I didn't know whose I was. And at junior college, because I left high school with like a 1.62 GPA, had to go to a junior college. And it was from that junior college, that experience, going into my second year, I had an epiphany. And the conversation was, you know what? I can't be successful. I don't have what it takes to be successful. And I wrote down this entire list of reasons why, wrong side of the tracks, wrong skin color, doing this, right? It's all this, these excuse after excuse after excuse. And you know what? Honestly, that's where a lot of people get stuck at. They get stuck in their excuses and they turn themselves into victims. But what I've learned is that victims tend to focus on what they're going through. Victors always look at what and where they're going to. And the shift I made was, you're right, I can't be successful, but I can win. And the moment I said I can win, it changed the trajectory of my life. I saw problems as possibilities. I saw obstacles as opportunities. And I went from sitting on a bench that first year to being inducted into the Junior College Hall of Fame, and now my school's Hall of Fame. Went on to Indiana University, and then from there in the NFL, using the same tactics and strategies of win, win. And so my motto is, if life is a game, you play to win.
Many young people have had problems with stuttering over the years. How did you overcome your issues of stuttering?
Not being able to articulate and speak well, stuttering my entire life was a huge challenge. But I made a decision. It all starts with a decision. I'm not disabled. I'm uniquely enabled, and I'm a great speaker. And I just learned how to speak all over again. I still stutter every once in a while, but it's not who I am. And I slowed down my speaking, and I just concentrated on articulating over and over again. But I always saw myself speaking to the masses, motivating the masses, and blessing the masses. And my intention caught up to my reality, my new reality as a speaker.
You sound as if you're a very spiritual person. Talk a little bit about what spirituality has done for your life and how it has played a role in your life.
Man, you know what? Thank you so much for even allowing me uh, uh, to actually share that. Oftentimes, people are really scared for that. So I just thank you for having that courage. You're just throwing it out there. I tell you what, that is the crux and the foundation. The thing that I love to lean on is that God doesn't call to qualified, but He qualifies to call. And He's seen and He placed a lot in me, and He has walked me through life and antagonized me and actually encouraged me through life to actually come to certain points. And having the true North Star, which is Christ Jesus, to triangulate my life off of, man, I've been able to just move to and through so many situations and circumstances. I use the word triangulation. And when you talk about triangulation, you need 3 points: where you're at, where you're going, and then you have to have an unmovable point, right? And so I'm in there, and most people, they think they know where they want to go, but they don't have the unmovable, which is God, or it's a satellite when you use a GPS that you can triangulate your life. Once you have those 3 points, you can get to and go anywhere you want to go. So God is the North Star. He's the most important piece. And now I'm able to triangulate my life off of that. Is it perfect? No. Do I fail? Often. But if you know what, if you can look up, you can get up. And that's how I keep winning.
When you were young, your mother and father divorced. That's a very important relationship for young black children, not to mention black boys, to see and understand. How did you get over not having your father in the picture for many years?
I'm still getting over them. You know, it's yeah, uh, that is a very unique pain point for me. Every kid needs his father. Every man needs a father to be able to call the king out of the kid. And there was a lot of underdevelopment there. It just was. What happened to me, though, about around 1998, like 20 plus years ago, at my security firm, my father applied, and I don't know why he's applying, but he was downsized from his job. But he's like, you know what? I would like to work with you, and he applied. I had no idea, and he started working with our security firm, much to my dismay. I didn't want him there, but my sister kind of gave him a job. And for 20 years, he was with me every single day. And for most of those years, I didn't like him. But slowly, it was just amazing because he just kept encouraging me, motivating me, pushing me. And what I didn't realize, there's two things I didn't realize. Number one is that the fact that he was my father, he had the ability to call things out in me that was deep in me that I didn't even see. That was amazing. The second thing that was so amazing about that was that he was able to stand in the gap for me. In other words, he raised me all over again. He left when I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Mm.
And he came back and he raised me all over again. And he impregnated me with some things that I buried him around 2017, 2018. That 2018, I buried him. He just couldn't come to work no more. And he passed away soon after at the age of 80. But the little sneaky thing is that now, years later, little things are coming out. Uh, Wear your shoes a certain way and build relationships. And I find myself just moving in his steps. Like, this dude really set me up. But it was one of the biggest blessings of my life. And I know that had he not been there, I wouldn't be in business today.
Wow. Wow. Very interesting. Wow.
So,
So,
so, so, so I'm saying that though, because I don't really share that, but I'm saying that because men out there right now, if you have a kid, you know, it don't matter the circumstances. It don't matter what the relationship is, with the mama and the baby mama, and you know, don't let me get real. Well, all that don't matter. Your words, death and life is in the power of the tongue. You speak life over your kid, even if they don't want to talk to you. You speak life over. Force yourself. You force yourself into position every legal way possible. And if you're like, it's too late, well, then you find some other young man that you see, what? I see something in you. Then you connect and you speak life. That's what's missing in our community is our men are out of position. And we have to get in position. And honestly, it was tough for me. I've been married. Today is my 25th wedding anniversary. Today, and I'm gonna tell you right now, everything in me wanted to run. Everything in me for years wanted to run. And then I had a boy, and I had to raise this kid. And like, how do I be a father? Like, but I had to learn by failing, and I kept failing, and I did not give up. And we have the best relationship right now. And I'm taking my queen out to dinner. I have changed the trajectory because her parents divorced, my parents divorced. Now my son is seeing this, and you know what he says? Dad, I cannot wait. Dad, I hope the world's around so I can get married and have kids. What?
Wow, that is very interesting. And it's sad to say, but for many reasons, I don't believe that our kids have access to the same kind of quality of people for a relationship like we did as children. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, and you have to search it out, and it is a challenge because I'm like, well, yeah, you have to search it out, but you might not even know what to search for.
Hmm.
But what I've learned is that something deep in you as a man, you are supposed to lead. As a man, you're supposed to take responsibility. You feel it. Now, whether you answer to it or not, you feel it. Okay? Then you look for that, a positive role model. You look for it. And you know what's so interesting is that a lot of the very successful world changers, I won't use the word success, that's a man made construct. A lot of the winners in life, they never really met their mentors, but they read so much about them, they patterned themselves just like Nelson Mandela. I mean, I was like, wow, this dude spent all those years in jail. He had a mindset of a winner and he was able to win. Read the book. Let's find somebody else. I mean, I'm looking at his life now. And I'm going through after world changer, and I'm studying this individual, his strength, his weaknesses, his actual successes, and the failures. Same thing with the women. You can do it too.
Your platform to help you succeed in life and become successful was with sports. Tell us about some of your role models who inspired you to become who you are.
Yeah. So there was a. I'll tell you about one. Uh, there was a guy. He played right tackle for about 18 to 20 years in the NFL. When I got to the Rams, his name was Jackie Slater. When I got to the Rams, he kind of took me up under his wing, and I watched what he did. Now, honestly, I didn't implement all the things I saw, but I brag about him now because he just did things differently. I'll give you an example. Like, the athletes would come in the locker room, with like sweats on and, clothes they had on last night and just looking kind of crazy, hair not combed. Now, Jackie, every day he came into the office or into the locker room and he called it the office with his slacks on, shoes shine, uh, blazer because it was a job and he saw it like that.
Hmm.
And having the proper mindset and perspective, even down to his dress, was so powerful for me. Lessons like that I learned watching him.
This is interesting that you say this because what I have experienced over the years is that our pro ball players would dress in suits and look very professional. Today, many of these guys look and dress like they come from the streets and not like businessmen at all.
Yeah. So the younger athletes, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen older athletes kind of make that make that transition. Of course, there's a few that that, but a lot of the older athletes, I'm able to watch them, and I'm kind of impressed. The person that I give credit to that helped change that whole culture was a guy named Chris Carter. He's played for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that moment, up until that time, most football players would give their interviews because the reporters want to catch the raw moment, right? After the game, cameras in your face. How do you feel? Blah blah blah. And then you will see a lot of the younger athletes trying to give the interview. Flexing with they ain't got no shirt on and blah blah. This it's crazy. Chris Carter changed a lot of that culture because he would do his interviews with his shirt on, suit, tie,
Mm-hmm.
collared shirt, looking like a professional. He changed a lot of that. And to this day, a lot of athletes do that, which is absolutely impressive because it is a business in the facade of a sport.
And this brings us to the Tyreek Hill situation in Miami a couple of months ago. What do you think about how he presented himself to the police officers, the way that the police officers acted toward him? What are your thoughts about this case, please?
Yeah, um, I believe that it was fault on both sides of the fence.
Okay.
Number one, the police knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
You ran those plates, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You pull an individual over, you're talking, you run those plates, you get the guy out the car, you're in Miami, he's in Miami, you know who he is,
Mm-hmm.
okay? This is not about racial profiling at this point. This is that the police, I think you're trying to prove a point,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You know who this individual is. Let him go and let him do what he's doing. You know where he's going. He's right by the stadium. You're wrong, okay? You are absolutely wrong for that. That's number one. Number two, Tyreek, Mr. Hill, I'll say, you, you got to pick your battles. Your job is bigger than you. What would have happened if they threw you on the ground and they broke your arm?
Right.
Okay. Okay. What would have happened if they got you out the car and took you right to jail?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have made that game. You got 50 players, 50 plus players who's basically you got the NFL that's depending on you. It's larger than that moment. Get out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the moment and say, you know what? I'm going to let my attorneys handle you. I'm going to let the league handle you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm focused. I got to get in this game and I got to win. I got to turn out. That could have went really bad, really bad. What happens if he would have got maced, and now he's not able to see?
Mm-hmm.
No. There have been times where I'm like, you know what? I know, I know, I'm in the right, and I'm gonna prove this point. But you know what? I gotta make it home. My
Mm-hmm.
son is dependent on me. My queen is dependent on me. My company is dependent. There's just things I can't do. And that's what I don't like about a lot of athletes is that you have to always be mindful that you're representing your team, you're representing the fan base, you're representing the shield of your organization. So everything you do, everything you say, the way you conduct yourself, the way you move, no, you're not going to the after set 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You're a professional. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not hanging out doing this and this. No, you're a professional. There was a guy that played, I'm not going to mention his name, but it was with every time there was, uh, every year it was football season. Every season, he he would never go out. No club, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't go out. He was that focused. Now in the off season, he would hang out,
Mm-hmm.
but during the season, did not hang out. Why? Because it doesn't take nothing, nothing. A simple conversation turns into an accusation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be mindful. Now, athletes, you have to get that. Now, a lot of stars, they get that. You don't see them out like that. Politicians, they get down, but you don't see them out like that
Right. Hmm.
because they're mindful of the responsibility of what they carry.
Your current business is a security business. Tell us more about the company and some of the clients whom you represent.
Yeah, so we have about right at about 100 uh, unarmed and armed security officers throughout the state of Ohio, other places. We do some traveling and some a little bit of EP work, executive protection. A lot of our clients are state government. We do schools and just standing in proxy of danger, learning how to position ourselves between the actual antagonist and our client, and creating and facilitating and ensuring a safe and secure uh, um, environment. In addition to that, I also travel as a motivational speaker as well. So I do conferences and I do schools and churches and things like that.
For people who are familiar with your business and see you as a role model for the Black community, what are some of the positive things that you have heard people say?
Wow. You know what? There are some positive words out there. Harp is my nickname, or Mr. Harper. Thank you. You're an actual inspiration. One of my biggest blessings is to just be out somewhere and someone's like, man, I really love your inspirational messages and your quotes and what you're doing is literally is basically getting me through the day. I love that. I love uh, being an actual uh, being an actual blessing, being an actual conduit for love for God. Uh, Another time I was in Nashville. This is the best. This is the blessed story, man. I'm sitting in Nashville, and I'm at this hotel, Embassy Suites, downtown Nashville, and this guy keeps looking at me. Like, why does this guy keep looking at me? Well, I'm like, man, like, why are you looking at me? But I'm not saying nothing, right? I'm like, man, why does this dude keep looking at me? Like, man, look, okay, you know. And he's like, you're Shawn Harper. I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, you came and spoke at my school like 15 years ago. I'm like, really? And no lie, he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out my football card. He
Wow.
said, I still carry this card with me everywhere I go. He said, thank you. That messed me up. That messed me up. I was like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, Lord, thank you.
You are an author. You've written 3 books thus far. What sparks you to write a book? Why did you get into writing to start with?
Well, I tell you, that was one of the hardest challenges of my life, because, you know, you got to deal with the demons, like you can't write a book, blah, blah, blah. It took like 5 years to write one book. But I tell you what, man, it's all about being able to bless people, to actually expand your message, your word. Look at the Bible. Like somebody wrote that like thousands of years ago, and look what it's still doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Think, wow, like these people are gone. Like they're gone, gone. Like they're dead, dead, dead. But it's still there. And long after I'm gone, these books are in print.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the great ones. They got books out there. It's legacy. My son will be like, you know what? This is my father's books. This is what he believed and he lived it. It's in the book. He's going to show it to his grandkids and probably his great grandkids. It's going to be on their bookshelf. Like your grandfather wrote this book.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
So, for Afro American kids in our various communities, they see what you're doing, they love what you're doing, and they want to create a career similar to yours or something even better. What's your advice to them?
Do it. Fail forward. Okay. One of the one of the knocks I have against our actual educational system is that they don't teach you how to work through failure. So they teach you to fear failure. Like you don't want the dreaded F on your test, right? So you get the F, they're like, oh, you need to try harder. maybe get a tutor or something like that. Okay, next lesson, we got to move on. Right? There's no redemptive qualities in failure. My son, when he went to his school, they allowed him to take the test home after it was given back and correct it and get maybe a half or a quarter point. I'm like, man, at first I hated it. Like, man, this is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized what it was doing. It was teaching you that failure is not final.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that has a lot to do with men because, a lot of black men weren't raised with fathers. And even worse, some of us was actually raised to hate our fathers, which is one of the greatest atrocities any woman can do to a boy or girl, especially a young boy, because if you don't like your father, then you don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're looking at that. You come from that and you get your confidence and identity from that. So now you're destroying that. You're actually creating damage in him, ladies. Don't do that. Don't do that. But my actual suggestion is that you start, and you will fail. You will mess up. I mean, and you're going to keep failing, but each step, you force yourself to be there. You force yourself. There are books out there, you know, something about when a kid sees his dad or sees his parents trying. Just try. Don't stop trying. They'll put the pieces together later in life. It might not be when they're 16, 17, but one day they're going to be like, wow. I mean, because I remember, I was really judging my father until, I was married about 6 or 7 years. Like, ooh, ooh. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, okay. My bad, Dad.
Right.
I was like, yeah, this ain't easy. This ain't, oh, I see now. Okay. I'm going to kind of let you off the hook a little bit.
Right. I
Yeah.
hear you.
So sooner or later, they'll see it. They're like, okay, all right.
It's been an honor to have these conversations with you as it relates to the Black community. But before we go, you have to talk a little bit about the importance of voting, not just for the Black community, but for the country, period.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, you know what? I have a very controversial perspective on that, man. It's probably going to get me in trouble, but it's okay. Um, it's very important that you vote. You know, this is this is an excerpt of a poem that I learned when I was pledging uh, my beloved fraternity, and it is. I can soon learn to do it if you let me see it done. I can watch your hand in motion, but your tongue too fast may run. A lot of times when it comes to black folks, whether Democrat or Republican, there's a lot of lip service. This is what we're going to do. This is what, or there's a lot of fear mongering. You don't want to go back to this and you don't want to go back. You know what? What are you going to do? Okay, not for all minorities and people who think they're minorities. And no, what are you going to do? Because I see you doing for other groups out there, but you're not doing for us. We are in the same economic situation of as far as wealth that we've been in since I don't know 1900. The same 1%. We're the same this, the same that, and every time when it's time to vote, you say, "Well, you don't want to do this because you don't want to go back to this, and this is how they feel about you." You notice other groups, they don't do that. They don't say, "Well, hey, you don't want this to happen, Asian people," because no, they like, "Look, man, okay, we gonna set some money aside for you, specifically for you. The LBG, hey, we gonna do this specifically for you. We're gonna have that White House, this color, we're gonna do this." And then not just lip service, I'm talking about economic. We are gonna set this up for you. Until we stand up and demand that, man, we will always, and this is going to piss people up, I don't care, we will always be the political side chick. Plain and simple. I mean, the facts, what have you done and what will you do? But in order for that to happen, we have to come together as a collective one voice. That needs to happen first and stop being fragmented. And once we come together with one voice, now we speak as one. They got to listen because they ain't going to listen now.
In closing, for all those people who like Shawn Harper's message, they've had an opportunity to listen to this podcast in its entirety and want to get in touch with you, how do they reach you?
Yeah. Shawn Harper Speaker, Shawn, SHAWNHARPER Speaker on Instagram. Shawn Harper Wins, Shawn with a W, ShawnHarperWins.com. And you just go to any search engine, type in Shawn Harper, my information to come up. I got a great staff. Give me a call. Whatever I can do to serve you, I will. And as a bonus for you, because you've asked some great questions, man.
Thank you.
As a bonus for you, your team, your audience, if you go to you got to put the www.shawnharper.co, you can get a free copy of that book, The Winning Edge.
We really do appreciate our guests who participated in this episode, and we hope you learned something that will bless your day and your life. For all who are interested in learning more about the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, please visit www.amazon.com and order my book, The Gary Clement Radio Show, When Strong Afro-American Men and Women Stand Up. It covers everything about us and features a variety of Afro-American personalities who speak out about the importance of education and literacy in the Black community. Well, we thank you for tuning into our podcast. Please send us your email address so we can contact you when we have new releases and new episodes and new projects as well. You can reach us at gccpresents@yahoo.com. And also, if you're interested in submitting any materials or want to get in touch with us, please do so by simply sending an email to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, presents@yahoo.com. So until next time, do take care. And this is a G2 Network Media production.